everybody on YouTube. Hello, Bella here, and I am here with Miss Kerileigh, and she is here to talk about losing over 80 pounds with the help of GLP-1 medications. She has a lot of information for you guys. I'm super excited to have her here, and I am really excited for this interview. So, Kerileigh, do you mind just kind of telling us a little bit about your background and your story with GLP-1 medications?
Absolutely. I was a very brittle diabetic, and I was trying every medication to bring my A1C down, everything from metformin to Ozempic. I mean, all of them, Jardiance. I had tried everything, diet and exercise, and nothing was bringing my A1C down. I had ankles that were just huge, and they were pitting. You could put your fingerprint in them and it would stay for a long time. So I was at risk of losing my feet to diabetic ulcers. I was at risk of losing my eyes to macular degeneration. I was just a mess. And we decided to try this new drug that had come out, this new medication called Mounjaro, and I went into it with a very negative attitude, actually. I went into it thinking that it was just going to be another failed treatment. I thought that I had one foot in the grave. I honestly did. I was hiding it from my family, but I honestly thought that I was on my way out. And Mounjaro 2.5, I thought did nothing for me. The 5.0, I thought did nothing for me. And then at 7.5, it was like a light switch. The food noise stopped. We had blood work redrawn, and my A1C was starting to come down, and my whole vision of life started to change. 7.5 was my miracle. That is where everything changed, my attitude and everything. And we titrated me up kind of quickly. Every 4 weeks we went up because we were trying to get my A1C down. It was 11.4, and we got it down to 5.6 by titrating me up every 4 weeks. We went through the shortages. So at one point I was on Zepbound, which is the same exact molecule, the same exact medication. It's just a different sticker on the pen. Then I couldn't find Zepbound or Mounjaro, so I went with Tirzepatide compound, and I've been on it since August of 2022, and I've lost 82.4 pounds.
Oh, that's amazing. I'm sure you feel so different. I feel like you, where I was starting a GLP-1 as a last-ditch effort. I was like, I don't think this is going to work, but I've got to do something.
Exactly. And I no longer feel like I have one foot in the grave. It's like, fill that grave in because I'm no longer there.
Right, like you're able to function and move. I see you moving a lot.
I've got my life back. I can play with my grandkids. I can do the infinity hoop. I walk around the building at work. I no longer use my husband to get me out of bed in the morning because I'm a cancer survivor. I am also an autoimmune patient. So I know that I'm never going to be 100% healthy, but I am so much better where I am. My blood pressure is now unmedicated, so I'm off of blood pressure medicine, and I am in normal range.
Wow, that's awesome.
My cholesterol came from over 300 on medications down to 198, which 200 is normal. So I'm in normal range, and I'm no longer on medication for that.
People are critical about using Ozempic and Mounjaro and everything, but it winds up to where you're able to be on less medication after being on that medication. I've noticed that too, where I'm starting to see all of these dominoes fall, where I don't have these issues that I was like being plagued with for the last 10 years. Like they're all sort of falling off little by little.
Yes. Yes. I was so brittle before Mounjaro, and now I feel like I am Superwoman. I feel like I could do anything. You give me a task and I can do it.
How long did you suffer from the diabetes before you had started trying all of those different medications, or was it just a gradual process?
It came on very gradually. I was diagnosed about 9 years ago, and it just kept climbing and climbing and climbing and getting worse and worse and worse.
You talked to me a little bit about losing weight with your sister. I was just curious about that. If you guys were like trying the same things around the same time, I thought that was so cool that you guys had lost so much weight together.
She's actually on compound semaglutide, and I take, like I said, Tirzepatide, whether it's Mounjaro, Zepbound, or Tirzepatide, but she's on semaglutide, and she has lost over 40 pounds on semaglutide in a year.
That's amazing. I'm 1 pound away from 40 pounds down. So I'm like, I need to like celebrate somehow. I don't know how I'm going to celebrate, but I've got to do something. It's like a milestone, you know? Did she like get on compound because of you, or did she? Gotcha. Yeah. So we're both Friday's advocates, obviously. So we're going to definitely get the compound. It's way cheaper and way easier to access.
Yes, it is. Fridays saved me when I could not find Zepbound or Mounjaro. If it wasn't for Fridays, I wouldn't have been able to continue. And I tried to go down to the 12.5 and my A1C climbed back up.
Yeah.
So I know that 15 is my dose, and my doctor knows that 15 is my dose. And she was okay with me going compound. She's very much a helicopter doctor. She's in my healthcare 100%. And at first, when I mentioned compound, she was like, no, compound's not safe. You're not going to do compound. And I showed her all the research that I had done on Fridays. And I showed her the research that I had done on the pharmacies that Fridays uses. And she was like, okay, but you're going to take the first shot here in the office and you're going to sit here for 30 minutes.
Oh, wow.
You know,
she cares. She really cares.
And I did, and she was fine with it. And she was like, okay, but this is the only company you're using.
Yeah.
You know, and she's fine with it now. But if it wasn't for Fridays, I wouldn't have been able to continue.
Right. Did you pay out of pocket before? Or did you get it covered by your insurance, or?
The brand name is covered by my insurance, but when I get the compound, I have to pay out of pocket.
Gotcha. So for semaglutide, it's $249, but you're on Tirzepatide, so it's $339 now, I guess. So
correct.
Which is like really good pricing, I feel like, because I mean it's thousands of dollars if you get it, you know, from a regular pharmacy, if you could even find it.
Exactly. That's the big thing. You got to be able to find it.
It's something in my area that has a lot of stigma associated with it, because I tried to get it from the pharmacy and they're like giving me this line of questioning, like, are you diabetic? And I was like, no, but I'm on the way. Like
94% of people that are pre-diabetic turn diabetic. Did you know that?
I did not know that. And I mean, that's pretty much almost everyone. So
correct.
It's just confusing to me why we're not supposed to get treatment before.
Right.
I guess it's insurance company related, but I was really happy to hear that Fridays just announced that they're going to treat people with a BMI of 27, because I mean, if you get it before it gets bad, it's much easier to go in the right direction before you start having all those metabolic problems, physical problems with movement, you know, just absolutely tears down your ability to do anything when you start not being able to move.
My husband used to have to help me out of bed just to go to the bathroom. And he doesn't have to do that anymore.
Yeah.
I used to use a walker, and I don't use a walker anymore.
Can you tell us a little bit about proof of movement? Because I know that's your thing, that's your trademark.
I love doing proof of movement. The Surmount 4 study showed that the participants did a 500 calorie deficit and they moved their bodies 150 minutes a day. I'm sorry, a week.
A week. Okay, so 30 minutes a day.
150 minutes a week, which comes out to 22 minutes a day.
Even less than 30 minutes.
Yes. So that's what I do, is at least 22 minutes a day. And I just put it out there for everybody to show proof of movement. It's my accountability to everybody out there that I am moving my body for you. I am trying to show you that you can move your body too, whether it's walking to the mailbox, whether it's walking around the table. If I can do it, you can do it. I was stuck in a bed moving my arms, and that was all that I could do, is wrist weights and moving my arms. And now I walk. Now I walk around the building. It took me little things like just walking to the mailbox, but I got there and now I can do it. And I'm proving to you guys that I can move and you can move too.
The whole reason of losing weight, I guess, is so that metabolically we're healthy, but also so that we can live, because you can't really live well if you can't move. I've noticed, just in my personal life, like trying to clean my house or going on a trip with friends where there's a lot of walking involved, or, anything like going to a sporting event, just like getting around a stadium is like, if you can't move, it severely limits your ability to enjoy life. Is there a diet that you follow? Do you count calories? Do you worry about macros or protein, or do you just kind of have, your own way of doing things?
I do follow, again, the Surmount 4 study, which was the macros of a balanced diet, but they do focus on protein. So I keep my protein high. I do goal weight times 0.8 in grams per day.
Okay.
And that gives me a good protein goal of 120 grams per day. And then usually if I focus on my protein, my calories fall into place. But where I get my calories from is the TDEE calculator. I use the Berrytastic app, and I can just scan my barcodes, and I can also talk into it and say half of a bratwurst. And it will put the macros in there for me. And I love that I can talk to it rather than trying to find what I ate.
Yeah, because it is a little bit of an interruption to log every single thing that you eat.
Exactly. And I get to a point where I don't log for several months, but then if I start not losing, I go back to basics and I start logging again. And I make sure that my macros are falling into place, because it's easy to drift and it's easy to get complacent and just get a little bit less, because if you don't eat, you're going to stall.
Yeah, very true. You might lose weight at first, but then later on, I feel like it will affect you, because I've definitely experienced that in losing weight. I've tried the crash calorie, low calorie diets when I was younger, and I feel like that messed up my metabolism bad, because it's like I did lose weight, but now it was so much harder for me to lose weight because I just yo-yoed for years. Are there any supplements that you take, or anything that you kind of use to supplement your health? Or it can be just, iron or magnesium or anything like that?
I do take a daily vitamin, and I do take magnesium citrate and glycinate and biotin. If there's only 2 things that you can get It has to be papaya enzymes and Mago 7. Those are the two things that you have to have in your house if you're on a GLP.
Okay, I do not know anything about this, so you have to school me on both of those. I don't
Oh
know it.
my goodness. Mago 7 is for constipation.
Okay.
You never want constipation to become a surgical event. Constipation is bad, bad, bad. You want to drink your water, you want to get your fiber in, and if you get constipated in the slightest bit, you take Mago 7. Yes, and it doesn't cause cramping and it works awesome.
What's the
The
other?
other one is papaya enzymes.
Okay.
We have delayed stomach emptying on these medications. And because of that delayed stomach emptying, our food sits in our belly and it will start to ferment. And as it ferments, it lets off a gas, and that gas will either come up as burps, sulfur burps, or go down as gas and bloating. So those are the things that we get from our food on these medications. And the papaya enzymes will actually break down the food first without letting off gas.
Well,
so no longer will you have sulfur burps, or gas and bloating.
Yeah, I've heard about the sulfur burps, and I'm just like, I'm thankful that I didn't experience that, but everybody has different like side effects with these medicines. Did you have like side effects at the beginning, or have they subsided, or how does that kind of work for you?
I have been blessed to not have side effects, but again, I have a helicopter doctor that talked to me for probably an hour about these medications before I took them. And she made sure that I was going to take a lot of protein the day before, take a lot of calories and water the day before. So she actually had me pre-gaming before we knew what pre-gaming was. I was blessed to not have side effects.
Did the appetite suppression like seem obvious for you, or you said it didn't work until you got to 7.5?
It felt like a placebo, but again, I had a bad attitude with it, so it might have been there,
Yeah.
and I just didn't notice it. I didn't feel anything until 7.5. And then, like I said, 7.5 was a light switch.
Wow.
When the food noise shut off, I didn't realize I had food noise. I didn't know what food noise was. I had heard people talk about food noise, and I'm like, what is food noise? And I had no idea what food noise was. Did not have a clue. And since then, I was in a chat room with Rosie O'Donnell, and she described it the absolute best. She said she was in the blue room of the Tonight Show, and everybody else was going over their lines and everything. And all she could think about is when she was going to eat that cookie that was on the table.
Yeah.
And that was food noise for her.
Yeah, I definitely, I'm like you, I didn't know what it meant, but when I heard the definition, I was like, oh, that's something that I have for sure, because my whole entire life going to events is just, I'm more focused on what are we going to eat than rather like, who am I going to see? Who am I going to get to talk to? You know, socializing was second to me to the food.
Right. Walking into a room and wondering if, is that enough food for everybody? You know, what is that over there? Is that tacos? Is that, you know?
Yeah, and I'm just, you know, I'm glad that it subsided for me, but I am scared about the future, because it's like a lot of people say you shouldn't take this medicine forever. I'm kind of in the boat where I'm like, I'll take it as long as I need to take it. You know,
Me
I
too.
don't have a problem with it. So
I plan on taking it forever. I've had that conversation with my doctor, and she said, you will be on this medication forever. She's actually said you will be on 15 forever. And if they come out with higher doses, you'll probably go up in dose.
Yeah. So, I mean, and I think it's reasonable because if you have any other issue, you don't just stop treating it. It's like
Hmm.
this is chronic. It's not something
Right.
that goes away.
If you have heart issues, if you have high blood pressure, well, my high blood pressure went away, but
Yeah. Yeah. But, and it's as a result of everything that's happened. If you started to gain weight again and started, to have food noise again, I'm sure that all the progress would, go in the opposite direction.
right.
Okay, did you try any other things before, like GLP-1s and stuff to lose weight? Have you always been overweight? Is this something like me? I've struggled since I was a child with being obese, and so I know like a lot of people they gain weight later on in life or after they have children. So like, when did it all like start for you?
When I knew that I was overweight was actually sixth grade, when you go into the gymnasium and they're checking you for scoliosis and they're checking your vision and they're weighing everyone's together.
Mhm.
And all of my friends were stepping on the scale and it's like 80, 82, 87, 90 pounds. And I stepped on the scale and it was 180. I didn't understand why all of my friends were half of my weight or less. I never got below 180 after that. And that was the time that I knew that I was different. I knew that I was overweight. I always did sports. I always did volleyball. I was a cheerleader, but the weight never changed. The weight never came off, and I didn't know why. I felt like I tried, and even as an adult, I felt like I tried. I tried every diet, you name it, the grapefruit diet, the cabbage soup diet, the Metafast, the Optiva, you name them, I tried it as an adult, but the Weight Watchers, all of them,
Mhm. Wouldn't
it
budge.
never came off.
Yeah, I feel like
I
it's
would
exactly the same.
lose 20 and gain 30.
I guess despite your activity level when you're younger, you're twice the weight of your classmates. Like, even though you're doing the same exact things, like doing sports and being active, and so I feel the same. I was like, why am I like not getting the same results as that all these other people? And losing weight in my 20s, I was like, I guess I'd have to keep cutting my calories and doing even more workouts. Like, it just wasn't working. And I was like, I guess there's something wrong with me. And so
Mhm.
I think it's to the point of where like we blame ourselves when bodies are just different. All bodies are not great.
Very much so. And I was considered the little one in my family at the time. So it was very much a family thing too. A lot of people in my family are very obese. It was just disheartening
Mhm.
to be that big and that much bigger than all of my friends and not know what to do about it.
I've gotten to the point where I look back at pictures of me and I don't I don't see it the same way I saw before where I'm critical. It just feels more like I wish I would have had help. I wish there was some kind of intervention, besides
Mhm.
me obsessively dieting for the last 10 years and kind of feeling terrible about myself. And so starting this medicine like you is like a last ditch effort, but I'm like, I just wish I had this sooner is my main like thought.
Yeah. I was very sad. I didn't do a lot of makeup as a young adult. I did in high school and stuff, but then as a 20 or 30-year-old, I didn't do makeup. I didn't do a lot with my hair because I just felt different.
If your health isn't good, then it's like, why try? Why bother with anything
Mhm.
else? Social life, education, or anything like that just seems like, what is it going to get me? Because we are viewed for like the way we look. Despite what everyone says about, oh, just be
Right,
yourself and you're good enough. Like, if you go to a job interview and you're overweight, they're going to pick a candidate who's not overweight 9 times out of 10.
right.
I'm thankful that like I got to the point where I could find this, but at the same time, it's like you have to grieve your life up until this point. and what it could have been. But I'm moving forward. I'm I'm definitely like, I'm good. My 30s is gonna be great. I've
Yeah.
decided, like, this is great. My mom said her 30s were awesome, so I'm like, let's go, let's do this. So do you have a weight loss goal? Do you have like personal goals going forward?
My biggest goal is to be able to walk on unsteady ground without holding my husband's arm. That is my biggest goal, is just feel stable. I just want to feel stable when I'm walking 100% of the time. If I could do that, I would be so happy. I'd probably cry, but that's my biggest goal. My weight loss goal, my doctor wants me down 20 more pounds. So that is a goal that I'm working towards. And I think she's right. So we're working towards that. And my cholesterol, even though it's in the normal range, I want it to come down a little bit more. Share the word on TikTok and make sure that people coming into this medication know the ins and outs of the medication, how to help with the side effects, because you don't have to suffer through nausea. You don't have to suffer through constipation. You don't have to suffer with the side effects.
Mhm.
And that's one thing that I just want everybody to know. So I try to go live every night, or I do go live every night except for Fridays. And I just want everybody that comes in to talk about side effects, talk about the medications, talk about life, because life is hard on these medications. You don't recognize your new body. You have to reevaluate relationships sometimes because people are used to seeing you thicker,
Mhm.
and they're
Get
not
told.
used to the confidence that you gain. And sometimes that threatens other people.
Are you live on TikTok or Instagram, or where do you go live?
TikTok only.
I haven't gone live. I don't think I've gone live on any of them. I need to do that. I'm just like, ooh, I'm nervous.
Yeah, I do TikTok only every night except for Fridays at 6 p.m. Central.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we're definitely going to put all your info in the description. They'll be able to find you, and they can watch you go live, and definitely check out the stuff that you have to share. I like that you do proof of movement. To me, it's like the consistency of it. It's simple, but it's consistent and it's effective. And so
Yeah.
that's the thing. Like, I can do a really hard workout, but can I do it every day? Absolutely not. Like,
But with the Surmount study, they found really hard workouts are not good for these medications. If your body goes into fight or flight, it holds on to the weight, so that you want to keep your heart rate down to 120. So you want to do a walking exercise or something a little easier.
so like steady
That
state cardio.
steady state cardio, yes.
I saw one of your videos where you're talking about cortisol and your stress, and if you're heightened, it's like your body starts saying, "What's going on? Like, do we need to hold on?" Like,
It wants to hold on to the calories so you can turn around and fight, instead of burning those calories at the 120. If you keep it at 120 or below, you're in a constant burn state. But it said instead of going up to 150 and getting into that fight or flight.
yeah, and then you don't risk injury. I mean, that's another thing. If you're injured or if you pull muscle, it's like I'd much rather be able to work out consistently than only work out, twice a month because I hurt myself or something like that. Um,
Right.
it tends to happen when you're new to exercise that especially if you're trying to follow like a video or something. Like, I always see, like, oh, I'll do a YouTube video of someone doing something, and I think I have to follow them, and I'm like, they're the instructor. I have to remind myself, like, they're good at this is their thing, like, this is your first time even watching the video. So it's hard for me to to kind of grasp that this is what my body looks like now. Have you dealt with any of those feelings of where you look in the mirror and you don't really know who you're looking back at?
Exactly. And that's one thing that I talk about on lives is recognizing that this is you, not seeing that old image anymore when you look in the mirror.
Yeah, I definitely see the old me. I don't even know that it's
Mhm.
like clicked that I see that I look different, but I still feel like the old me. So I don't know how to reconcile. I guess it just takes time to realize that you're, not carrying all this extra stuff. I wonder how, like, with the cortisol and the stress, I often wonder like how much trauma has affected the weight that I had even had to begin with, and
Right.
it's kind of interesting to see how our early childhood has really shaped the entirety of the rest of our lives.
Exactly. Americans have chronically high cortisol. If you draw any American's blood work and test it for cortisol, they're high. That's why doctors don't draw it, because we just know that it's high. So if you do intentional breathing, I don't know if you've ever watched one of my lives, but we always do intentional breathing, which is in through the nose, hold it for 10 seconds, and then out through the mouth. And that will lower your cortisol levels and it lowers your stress levels and it lets you let go of belly fat. So, cortisol really holds on to this strip of fat right here.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it lets you let go of.
Like the fat around your organs.
Yes, the visceral fat.
I definitely need to try more breathing. I got an app that makes me do a like 12-second breathing exercise before I can open like TikTok and Instagram and all the like social media sites that I spend so much time on. So
I
I'm
love that.
I'm hoping that will help. It actually has helped quite a bit because I'm finding myself like at first I was like, this is annoying, but now I'm like, oh, I'm enjoying this now. You said that like people tend to like view you different after you've lost weight, and it can affect their like perception of you. Sometimes if you are their fat friend, for instance, like, and you're no longer their fat friend, their whole worldview changes of like that relationship.
Right.
So I guess like how has it affected you? Like, has it affected your relationship with your partner, with your friends, like just coming into a different side of yourself?
For me, I don't think it's changed a whole lot just because my circle is very small. My husband is fine whether I was, close to 300 or where I am now. My friends want me thicker. I was better thicker.
Mm-hmm.
I was just easier to get a hold of. I wasn't in Peoria with my grandkids. I wasn't on the run, doing things. I was always home. I was the reliable one that was always home.
You're more accessible to them at their convenience rather than at a time that worked for both of you guys.
Right.
Do you have any unpopular opinions about weight loss or GLP-1s or just fitness in general? Is there anything that you're like, I don't think that's true, or I think this is true, but other people say it's not true? You seem like you follow the science.
I do follow the science. It's got to be science based. Maybe the lipo B shots would be one that I find unpopular in my views. A lot of people really like the lipo B shots. They are good vitamins, but I think that's what they are.
Right, not a miracle.
Right. I don't think you're going to lose weight. I don't think they're going to jumpstart you. And it's like, I always feel like I have to apologize after I say that
Yeah.
because I think you're paying a lot of money for a shot that is just really good quality vitamins and amino acids.
Is this what you would consider like? Is it like a B12 shot, like when you go to the doctor and they try to boost your energy levels, or is lipo B something different?
Lipo B is different. It has amino acids and stuff in it that are really, honestly, they're great vitamins. but they're just really high priced.
But the amount of money people spend to try to lose weight or to try to feel better, it's like I would have bought anything if you would have
Yeah.
told me that there was a chance that I could feel better. I absolutely was like desperate to the point of like, I was like, I will go get like any treatment besides like I had never been big enough to have weight loss surgery, but I was like, why don't I just get like one of those, balloons or something placed? Like
Yeah.
I was at the point of no return where I was like, my weight's going up and everything else like metabolically is going down. And it wasn't a good time.
Yeah, I would have done anything. Anything.
Do you have anything to leave people with if they're curious about starting one over the other?
My biggest thing would be a lot of people say they're nervous to start them because of the side effects. And don't be afraid of the side effects. I'm more afraid of the side effects of obesity. The 13 cancers, that the major cause of them is obesity. I'm more afraid of heart disease because of obesity. I'm more afraid of fatty liver disease because of obesity. I'm more afraid of all the things that you get because of obesity rather than the nausea or constipation that you may get from these medications that you can control with over-the-counter medications.
Mm-hmm. And it's often very temporary.
Right. And there's things that you can do.
Right. And I didn't seem to see a lot of the side effects unless I ate poorly. So that's part of it, is learning how to eat in a way that works for you on this medicine. I've put out videos about like what you can take for nausea and stuff, like even like smelling an alcohol wipe made my nausea go away. Just simple things that are not expensive and really don't require very much at all. You just have to know about it. I guess we'll kind of plug Fridays for a little bit. They are doing a promo right now where you can get $20 off a month for 3 months, which is probably like the best that they've done for a while. 3 months is a really good discount. And so we've got your code KLP and we've got my code, and we're going to put both of them in the description. I told people to flip a coin and just pick one of them, please, so we can earn our referrals. But I definitely think that this new pricing structure has really, really made GLP-1 accessible to people, not having to pay for those doctor visits. I mean, because some people, if they go to the doctor, it's $150 just right out the gate, no medication, nothing. And so all of your medications covered with this, your doctor visits covered with this, your dietitian coaching, your weekly coaching calls. I mean, they're offering so much to their patients that, I mean, I just feel like everyone should take advantage of this if you are on a GLP-1.
Your labs are free.
That's crazy.
Huge.
I know. Anytime I have lab work done through my insurance, I'm just crossing my fingers that it isn't like astronomically priced. And I'm like, I hope they don't run a lab that my insurance kicks back as like not covered. It's stressful just thinking about it. I hate when my doctor's like, okay, we're going to get some blood work. And I'm like, what are you going to get? What are you going to run? Like, can I check my formulary first before before you run it? And that's a horrible question to have to ask, that cost is a factor. So having free labs is amazing. That's super cool. Paying in the past, I've paid so much more money for this medicine and not been able to get it consistently. So I feel like this is an amazing deal for people. I could harp on Fridays for a long time. They do it different. I really think they do. At first I was like, okay, they're another telehealth company. Like, what makes them different? But like after you work with them for a little while, you're like, oh, they do everything different.
They've got the love, that's for sure. And of course, you get all of the advocates. That's one thing that I always say in my lives too. You get all the advocates. If you sign up with Bella and you come into one of my lives, I still help you. I don't say go find Bella. I still help you. If you sign up with me and you go into one of Nate's lives, Nate still helps you. It's not like we just abandon you. You get all the advocates.
Yeah, it's definitely a community thing, I think. We're not just giving people medicine and then leaving them out to figure it out for themselves, because
Exactly.
it's like we've walked this road before you. We know which way to go, and we're kind of like giving you instructions on how to proceed with this. So you are on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Is that all? Have I got all the bases covered?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to link them below so that people can find you and follow you, and definitely come into your lives, because I know that you're engaging, and it means a lot to me that you're able to share all of this with my audience. I'm sure that they're going to benefit from it, especially having the perspective of being, diabetic and having your A1C just go down so much. I mean, that's so promising to people.
Yeah. And the blood pressure and the cholesterol and my inflammatory markers, my SED rate and my CRP also went down from my autoimmune disease.
Wow. So it's impacted like multiple areas of your health. And
Exactly.
I would assume mental health as well.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, I think we'll wrap it up. I appreciate you so much for coming on. You have been an amazing guest. Thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you so much.
Take care, guys. Bye.